Welcome in to the Week 11 matchup and waiver show. Clayton, I think this is the first time we are recording on a Sunday. No, we did one in the airport on a Sunday, but
Yep.
we're a little late this week. Sometimes life things get in the way. You might have someone crashing in your second bedroom that takes up a lot of your time. So things happen. But how are you doing, Clayton?
It's a tough week for the New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes does not know how to drink out of a glass, or I don't know what the story is there. Cut his pinky, so he's out 8 weeks. So luckily the Patriots are rolling. They played a Thursday night and another win, best record in the NFL currently. I mean, as these games are going on right now. So most wins in the NFL. That's going good, but tough for the Devils this week.
Yeah, I think after today that top seed will stick at least for a little bit. Going into week 12 because your competition is playing a pretty tough game this week. So let's get into some matchups here and some waivers and see what our thoughts are. Alrighty, starting with the waivers. Biggest pickup of the week went to Jamison Williams, a guy I was hoping to get. I actually texted Bo about it, and he was telling me that he thought someone else was probably going to put 10, so he went 11, which is a strategy. Those even numbers. I've talked about it on here before. He beat me out, used my own thoughts against me, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good pickup with Dan Campbell calling the plays now out there. Got him very involved last week, and he's just so fast, and they gave him so much money that I think they were looking for ways to find him the ball.
Yeah, I'll highlight Casey here. I think he's been throwing. I would be curious if he spent over $40 in defenses in the last like 5 weeks. Seems like every week he's up here with a decently high bid on a defense, and honestly, they're not doing that well for him. I mean, I watched the game with him on Thursday, and he was again frustrated with the Patriots defense after being frustrated with the Browns defense last week. So this is kind of funny to see him spending so much money on defenses and continuing to give him like 4 points.
Every so often, you get a defense in fantasy that can really consistently dominate. I mean, I think back to like the Jags a few years ago, maybe the Broncos this year. I would put in that category where you can actually just like set it and lock it. But it's
Yeah, there's a Patriots team that like when we were I think when I was doing a masters, and I think they were averaging like 18 points or something
I remember
ridiculous,
that
but
team.
that's the one that I think of.
Yeah, but a lot of it gets chucked up, I think, to some randomness, especially when you factor in the special teams and everything that can go on there. But yeah, it's tough to predict those defenses. You're playing the Jets, one of the worst teams in the league, and you can barely get 5 points. That's that's brutal.
Yep. Brutal for Casey there.
And then down the rest of the way, looks like defenses. I grabbed Tyler Algier back. Sean Tucker went for a couple bucks, but I think he's back on waivers. Dalton Schultz, he's been playing pretty well, and maybe some kickers and Jordan Love. Joey finally changed up from he'd been riding Daniel Jones for quite a while as quarterback spot and changed it up to Jordan Love this week with them on bye. So see what J Lo can do in that spot, and if he goes back to Daniel Jones when he comes back.
Yeah, I mean Joey's kind of been back and forth in quarterbacks all year. I mean, I didn't know if I loved Jordan Love pickup personally. Um, Coming off of 8, 7, and 0 points in his last three. Um, and they're playing the Or wait, no, zero's this week.
Giants.
8 and 7 points. They're playing the Giants this week for zero. Or he has zero currently, but 8 and 7 points, and then that's the guy you're starting. I get it's the Giants, but I don't know. Just didn't agree with that one, I must say.
We'll see how it goes. All right, let's talk about some matchups then. Starting off with Joey and Casey. This one is projected pretty high scoring and relatively close. We both went with Joey here. Joey has a great lineup looking this week. Predicted 15 points across a bunch of different players, including tight end, which is pretty rare. Both his running backs are projected at 18 and then one more at 17. So with Warren against one of the worst defenses in Cincy, James Cook playing against Tampa in a game that looks really, really cold and like they'll probably run the ball a lot, and Genty against another terrible defense in Dallas. We'll see how how many points Joey can rack up between just those three guys. And then JSN is going to do his thing in what should be a good game between them and the Rams. And Wandale with Jameis in now. It's probably going to be target number one with Slayton out. And Jameis likes to chuck it.
Yeah, I do like the Wando play with James. I think that's an upgrade there. Um, and then I think anybody who plays Cincinnati just automatically just gets a ton of points. So I expect Jalen Warren to get at least 15. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks 20. Look at Casey's lineup. I do like Justin Herbert. He's been doing pretty good recently. Obviously, Dowdle probably one of the pickups of the year. I think he's solid. I do think this game could be decently close, and it could be one of the highest scoring matchups in our league this week. I think ETN probably has a decent game. Jamar Chase with Flacco's obviously looked a lot better. Devontae Adams seems to find the end zone almost every week. Loveland might truly end up with zero. I know
That's
it shows zero right now, but I mean, it's early. He truly might end up with zero. Diggs had a good week for him. I do think this could be a very close and very exciting game.
yeah, that's the one spot that Casey's I think gives Casey a big disadvantage here. Looking at Bowers versus Loveland, and probably one of the bigger reasons why I picked Joey there. Alrighty. Then we're getting into Sam and Cub. Another close projection here. This one might be the closest. Only 5 points difference, and this is right after the 11 o'clock game started here in the Mountain Time Zone. I went with Sam, so I'll start with him. We did get to see H-An play this morning against Washington, so that definitely helped. He is just getting all kinds of touches. I remember I watched one of the drives because I was hoping that Jalen Waddle would get a target maybe, and I think H-An touched the ball 8 times in a row. And then Puka, again in that Seattle game, should be a good one. And Aaron Jones against the Bears, who have not been a great defense lately as well. I think that gives Sam a good leg up at the running back spot. And then Dak Prescott getting to play against the Raiders. Their defense is terrible, which could be said about both teams in that game, so I assume that they'll be able to put up some points there.
Yeah, looking at the Cubs lineup, I think Josh Allen has a bounce back week after a really bad week against the Dolphins. I love Josh Jacobs against the Giants. The Woody Marks thing's kind of hit or miss. Justin Jefferson against Chicago. I mean, again, that'll be interesting. Sutton, I do think will have to get the ball just because I think the Chiefs score a decent amount of points even against the tough Broncos defense. But I mean, you see what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can do off a bye. I think they're gonna put points up. So I think they're gonna have to throw the ball. Plus, looks like J.K. Dobbins might be done for the year. So he's obviously not playing today. So I think they might have to throw the ball more than usual. And then I like Parker Washington this week with no Brian Thomas Jr.
I do like the Parker Washington play. I think that he'll be the clear top guy there, and he was even contributing on special teams last week for him. He returned a punt, so gives you a little bit of rare, but I think extra value there just in case he has another one. Alrighty, third matchup of the week. This one was maybe a little bit easier to pick. We've got the top seed in the league right now, not the bottom, not 1 versus 10, 1 versus 9 right now. Clayton, I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at Lucas's team and it's like, where's the weak spot? I mean, Bruce Hall did only have 7 against a tough Patriots defense. I was kind of surprised to see that in Lucas's lineup.
Did he get
Myself, I
over
know
50
Lucas is a
yards?
Patriots fan. I think he had 58 because I think the over-under on him was 62, and I picked the under and I hit it. So I think he had 58. I will say his only other option this week would have been Jordan Addison. So I guess I don't hate it as much anymore after looking at that. But Drake London, I know it's not shown here, but he already has 71 yards in the first quarter. Just absolutely been killing it lately. I mean, Christian McCaffrey against Arizona, I expect to go crazy. He did go back to Jalen Hurts this week, which is kind of interesting after last week. I know Dart got hurt though, so I mean he didn't have much option there, but
Yep.
interesting to see Jalen Hurts back. But I just look at the team. It's like Rice and London. I mean that's 2 top 10 guys. McCaffrey and Henry. I mean, you could argue two top 10 guys. Trey
One for sure,
McBride.
and then yeah.
Yeah, you could argue Trey McBride is tight end one this week. So just absolutely tough whenever you're matched up against Lucas.
Especially with Marvin Harrison, the other guy who was getting quite a few targets from Brissett being out this week with appendicitis. That one kind of hurt my heart personally. Um, but you'd expect Trey McBride to see an uptick in targets even above what he was already getting, which was an insane amount to start with. And then for Bo, so I actually considered taking Bo in this one because again his team is full again. Stafford's been playing great. I think you know he's going to probably end up with at least 3 touchdowns. They're going to be in a battle with Seattle. It should be good weather. So I'd imagine that game is fairly high scoring. Same with the Gibbs and Barkley there. They're playing against each other this week. I expect both those teams to be scoring pretty well. I don't think their defenses are anything special. And their offenses are just going to be a little bit more overpowering. Ibuka, he's still the real only true target that Baker Mayfield has in Tampa, and they're going to put up some points against Buffalo. It sucks that the weather is bad there. And then Jameson Williams in that same game. The one spot that concerns me with Bo is at his flex. He is putting Kareem Hunt out there, who has been actually really good against Denver historically, even when he rejoined the Chiefs last year. He somehow manages to find a way into the end zone, and he's our short yardage and goal line back. So maybe he pops in one or two from the 1 yard line, and you can hope for that. So
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for you, Bo.
Bo doesn't have too much else. I mean, he has Romeo Dubes and then Trey Tucker with like Lauren out and Kamara on by, just kind of a tough spot for him. But
Right.
I don't mind the Hunt thing. Again, I just even though the Broncos defense is so good, it's just when you watch Mahomes and Andy Reid off a bye, it's poetry in motion usually. So I do think they put up points, and I do think Kareem Hunt gets one.
I can see it. Alrighty, then we've got Tanner and Scott. So we're split again here. Clayton, go ahead.
Yeah, Tanner gets Javonte Williams back and RJ Harvey with no J.K. Dobbins. So I think his running backs look pretty good this week. I like Ladd. Ladd, I think I've talked about it before. I think in the last 5 weeks, it's like wide receiver number 5. So I like Ladd this week against Jacksonville. Um, Pickens against Vegas isn't a bad matchup. Ferguson against Vegas, I think, is a good matchup. Um, Rome against Minnesota, he's either going to get 0 or he's going to get like 16. Hopefully, he gets 16 in my case. Broncos D against Chiefs. I gotta respect Lars for keeping him in there. Was interested if he was gonna keep him in there or not. But riding with his guys, which I mean, whether it's a good decision or not, I respect the decision. But I do think Lars he's got good matchups this week, and I think both his running backs have great games.
I got you. Yeah, and I picked Scott solely based on the integrity, based on the skills of his team mostly. This week, just like I do every week in all of my picks. But with Kyron, I've been talking about this Seattle game. I think that's just a lot of points to be had there. Nico, they get Stroud back this week, so hopefully he can have an uptick there. And Tennessee is terrible, so they should allow some points. Devontae Smith and David Montgomery are involved in the other game that I think will be very high scoring. Mark Andrews with Lamar back has had some pretty good games, so he's always got a chance at the end zone when Lamar is around, especially. And maybe against Cincinnati, DK breaks a long one. If there's any game that's going to happen that he gets an 80-yarder and runs through everybody, this will be the game for it. So I think this one will be pretty close again. Hard to pick either side, but I think I'll go with Scott. And I like the name of his kicker, Mevis.
I didn't even notice.
Never heard
Like
of
the
guy.
name matchup of the kickers right now. We got Dicker the kicker and Mevis.
Mevis. I've never seen Mevis before. New Rams kicker, it looks like. So good luck to the guy. Alrighty. And now we've got our game of the week between our two co-hosts here.
Game of the week. I'm gonna start because the freaking Travion Anderson is here, baby. He's arrived. That's back-to-back 30-point weeks, 30-plus point weeks. He had the hat trick. The day after one of the Devils players had a hat trick. So, I love to highlight my New Jersey Devils, and I love to highlight the New England Patriots. So shout out Travion. I was a little worried about Drake. I mean, he was doing his thing, making sure we were going to win, taking care of the football, but fantasy wise wasn't doing too much until he decided, let's give Henderson
Throw
the
one
hat
to
trick and hit him
Travion.
in the end zone. So huge for my fantasy team. Andy B did miss a field goal. Was kind of sad. I hated him at the start of the year, started to love him. Was slightly disappointed. He missed that one for 40. That's a 6 point swing there. But picking myself, probably because of Travion Henderson's 30-point week. Team is pretty much full. The only player I'm missing this week is Tyler Warren, and I have George Kittle, which, I mean,
Listen, about as
but
good of a replacement as you can get there at tight end.
exactly. And then I got Ryan on the best week to get Ryan. That's not the Chiefs bye week. That's the week without Jonathan Taylor. We know what Jonathan Taylor's been doing. Absolutely been killing it. So that's why I picked myself.
Yeah, and it's a big spread here this week without Jonathan Taylor and with the other injuries and outs that I've been put up against this week. With Marvin, you know, Godspeed to him. Hope he heals up from appendicitis. Not a fun time, I'm sure, but just kind of bad timing on that end. But hopefully comes back better than ever in the next week or two. I was able to get another running back to play at least instead of Tyler Algier starting both the Falcons running backs with my trade with Scott, which ended up being the only one at the trade deadline that I saw at least.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say it's gotten considerably closer in the spread since we took this picture. T. Higgins had a 30-yard touchdown, and Bijan Robinson ran one in too. So it's a little bit closer now. It's still, I think, sitting about 25 points. But, you know, I'm counting on my Chiefs to pull through in Denver off of bye week. Maybe take a deep shot to Worthy. He's been due for one for a couple of weeks now. Travis Kelsey, historically against the Broncos, has been a killer. So we'll see what they can do. I'm rooting for my boys, and I need to keep some of your guys out of the end zone here. Hopefully, the Browns are just getting demolished. Maybe Dylan Sampson will see the field a little bit. Maybe the Cowboys will blow out the Raiders and sit the starters so CD doesn't see the field too much. The Drake to Travion, I was mostly okay with everything that happened on Thursday. 2 touchdowns for Travion wasn't fun, but then when he got the third from Drake, that one was brutal. But I've got a chance for my own little stacks here going. There's always a chance that the Chiefs just go nuclear for me. So, and sitting at 17-3, anything, it's hard to go against yourselves with that kind of record.
Definitely, definitely. Don't blame the pick there, especially Chiefs off a bye. I will say, I think the Broncos defense, holds them reasonable. I think the offense looks fine and does good, but I don't think they do anything too crazy. But yeah, I mean, you could get Mahomes, Kelsey, Mahomes, Worthy, and the two stack there, that could definitely change things. I will say, I think Atlanta handles Carolina pretty good. I know they lost to him earlier this year, but I think they handle him good, and I think Algier actually gets some run here in the second half. So, um, you know,
We'll see.
maybe maybe that helps me in terms of Bijan not going crazy. But who knows? Maybe Bijan pops a big one.
Bijan's touchdown was from the 4, so that was stuff that had been Algiers' duty for the last couple of weeks. So it was good to see that they actually were giving Bijan some of those touches closer to the goal line.
Yeah, and I'm going to say one more thing about Ryan's team. He swears to have Scadaboo on his roster and continues to keep him in waivers. So
Well,
interesting.
he's been bouncing back and forth between the IRs.
Interesting. They're solid again this morning. That Scadaboo is on waivers. So interesting. Interesting.
We got to see what we can do about this third running back spot. So we're just kind of rolling the dice on a few guys on Sunday mornings here and there. So with that, we're getting into the summary of picks here. We are pretty different this week. We have, I think, 3 different, and I'm 5 games ahead right now. So a significant chance for a catch up here compared to the last few weeks, especially.
Yep. This could be the week I close the gap.
This could be it. Both sitting pretty easily above 500 right now. Um, so it's good to see. We'll see what happens. One of them is going to be one of those of us is definitely going to gain a game based off of our matchup, which will be kind of a double whammy there for whoever wins or loses.
Yep. I think there's some really good games this week, though, still. I think, Joey and Casey could be a good game. I think Cub and Sam could be a good game. You said you think Lucas and Bo could be a good game, and I think our game could be pretty high scoring as well. So I think there's a lot of good games this week, especially come down the stretch with the playoffs, on the back of everybody's minds. So, or maybe the forefront of everybody's minds.
It's playoff time.
You're getting towards the exciting part of fantasy football.
Let's get after it, boys. Alrighty. Well, with that, let's wrap it up. Say, everyone have a good football Sunday. Again, we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for no injuries to anybody. Keep it healthy, get some high-scoring points, see some good offensive football, and have a great Week 11.
Yep. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Good luck, Clayton.